Today we are taking a look at Aru from Blue Archive. This is the Yumemirize figure by SEGA. Blue Archive is a school-based RPG built around different academies, distinct student groups, and a large cast of characters with very recognizable personalities and designs. Within that lineup, Aru stands out as a character who leaves a strong impression through her confidence, composure, and very deliberate way of carrying herself. She has a presence that makes her easy to remember, and that confident attitude is a big part of what defines her within the cast. Today's highlights for this figure are the expression, the original outfit, and the seated pose that feels relaxed while still carrying a commanding presence. The first highlight is the expression. The narrow eyes and the slight smile create a calm and confident look right away, but the face never feels overly cold because the fingers are placed in front of the lower part of the face without hiding it completely. The expression gains a little more attitude and distance instead of being presented too directly. The second highlight is the original outfit. The costume uses a deep neckline, a strong side cut through the torso, and a lower section that wraps tightly into the waist, so it feels much more deliberate than a simple dress shape. The gold ornament at the center of the chest, the rose ornament at the hip, and the black ribbon bands around the waist break the layout into several clear points of interest. The third highlight is the seated pose. The body is lowered into a relaxed seated position, but the upper body is still held up clearly by one arm while the other hand frames the face. That combination gives the figure an easy, natural mood on the surface while keeping a very controlled and commanding overall presentation. This channel brings you figure reviews and anime merchandise updates straight from Japan. If you enjoy this kind of content, don't forget to subscribe. The head is built around an expression that feels calm, confident, and slightly teasing at the same time. The eyes are long and narrow, and the upper eyelid lines are strong enough to give the gaze real sharpness without making the face feel severe. The irises carry a soft reddish tone, which keeps the expression warm, even though the overall eye shape is tight and focused. The mouth is very small and only slightly curved upward, so the smile feels restrained rather than openly cheerful. That choice is important because it gives the face a composed sense of confidence instead of turning it into a broad or playful grin. The hand placed in front of the lower part of the face helps even more. The fingers hang down across the space between the nose and the chin, but they do not block the main features, so the expression remains fully readable while gaining a little more attitude and distance. The front hair supports that expression very well. A thick central section of bangs falls straight down over the forehead and creates a strong vertical line through the middle of the face. Around that center section, longer front pieces curve outward along the sides instead of clinging tightly to the cheeks, which keeps the face frame open and elegant. The hair near the front does not stop around the jawline either. One section continues downward toward the chest and opens into soft curls near the ends, so the head naturally connects into the upper body rather than feeling visually cut off at the neck. That also helps the figure keep a graceful flow from the face down into the neckline. From the side, the hair mass across the top of the head stays smooth and controlled before releasing into longer sections toward the back. That transition matters because it keeps the upper head shape clean while allowing the lower lengths to create more movement. At the rear, the hair is gathered near the center and tied in a ribbon-like shape, creating a clear point where the upper volume tightens before the longer sections fall downward again. From there, multiple lengths of hair drop in separate strands rather than as one flat block. Because the sections remain distinct, the back view has visible rhythm and layering. The ends also taper instead of stopping bluntly, which gives the hair a lighter finish and keeps the silhouette from becoming heavy. Altogether, the head works because the expression gives the first impact, while the hair keeps that impact framed and supported from every angle. The upper body stands out because the pose and costume layout work together very smoothly from the chest into the waist. The upper torso is kept open and clearly presented, while the body narrows cleanly down into the waist, so the figure already has a strong body line before the costume details even come into focus. The neckline is cut deeply, and a pale decorative line follows that opening closely, which makes the shape of the chest very easy to read from the front. At the center of the chest, a small gold ornament ties the two sides together and creates the main focal point of the upper section. From there, the lower cloth travels diagonally into the torso instead of falling straight down, which gives the outfit a more deliberate layout. The upper section, the exposed side area, and the wrapped lower section all remain visually separate, so the body is never covered by one flat surface. That separation is especially clear at the side of the torso, where a broad opening is left between the upper and lower parts of the costume. The wrapped section across the stomach and waist also carries several horizontal folds, which make the fabric feel fitted and controlled rather than loose. The arms add another important layer. One arm bends upward and crosses in front of the face, with the forearm held almost horizontally, so it helps frame the expression without hiding it. The fingers hang downward in a relaxed way, which keeps the gesture elegant. The other arm extends behind the body and presses to the floor, helping support the upper body from the rear. Because that arm stays nearly straight, it helps keep the torso open and the seated posture clearly presented. The long gloves reinforce both arm lines clearly by contrasting against the bare shoulders and upper arms. The back is handled with the same care. The rear opening is wide, and crisscrossed bands across the open back give that area a clear internal structure instead of leaving it as one empty surface. The edges of the opening, the crossing bands, and the fitted waist below all remain easy to separate. Altogether, the upper body works because the neckline, the center ornament, the side opening, the arm placement, and the back detail all support the same impression of an outfit built around fitted lines, bold cutouts, and a carefully arranged silhouette. The lower body begins at the waist with one of the strongest decorative details in the figure, the large rose ornament placed at the hip. This rose has clear thickness and layered petals, so it reads as a separate attached element rather than a flat detail. Beneath it, several black ribbons extend outward in different directions. One runs more horizontally around the waist, while others angle downward toward the opening of the skirt. Because those dark lines cut across the pink surface at different angles, they break the lower section into several clear paths for the eye instead of leaving it as one broad shape. The skirt changes character very effectively as it moves downward. Around the waist and upper hip, it stays close to the body and follows the curve tightly, so the transition out of the torso feels narrow and controlled. Lower down, the fabric opens and spreads more broadly, especially near the high opening where the leg is exposed. That contrast gives the lower half much of its appeal. The upper section defines the hip and upper thigh closely, while the lower section relaxes near the floor. The exposed leg becomes especially important here because it begins high at the opening and extends outward in one long, uninterrupted line, which gives the seated pose both length and elegance. The two legs do not mirror each other, and that difference gives the lower body much more depth. One leg folds inward under the body and stays closer to the dress and the floor, helping establish the seated posture clearly. the other extends farther outward and becomes the dominant lower line of the figure. That outer leg creates a strong sweep from the hip to the pointed heel, while the inner leg gives the pose its folded, grounded structure. The shoes finish that presentation cleanly. They are black heels with a slim pointed shape, so the leg line stays narrow and sharp all the way to the end. Around them, the hem of the dress spreads across the ground in wider, softer waves, which helps anchor the figure visually to the floor while still keeping the exposed leg and shoes easy to read. Altogether, the lower body works because it layers several clear elements at once: the fitted waist, the rose ornament, the black ribbons, the high opening, the long exposed leg, the folded inner leg, and the spreading hem near the ground. This figure is approximately 12 centimeters tall. That's about 4.7 inches. For size comparison, here's a 350 milliliter can. That's about 12 ounces in the US. Overall, Aru by SEGA stands out because this figure combines a confident expression, an original outfit that clearly emphasizes the body line, and a seated pose that feels relaxed while still carrying a commanding presence. The head creates the first impact very effectively. The narrow eyes and the small smile give the face a calm and self-assured mood, while the fingers placed in front of the lower part of the face add a little more attitude without hiding the expression itself. The hair supports that impression well. The heavy front bangs frame the face clearly, and the longer sections along the sides and toward the chest keep the head from feeling too compact. The rear hair gathered near the center and tied into a ribbon-like shape, together with the longer trailing lengths, also gives the back view a smooth sense of flow. The upper body works well because the pose and costume layout reinforce each other. The torso is held open, the waist narrows cleanly below it, and the two arms are given very different roles, one framing the face and the other supporting the body from behind. The deep neckline, the pale border along the edge, and the small gold ornament at the center make the front of the outfit easy to read right away. The diagonal continuation of the cloth into the waist keeps the torso from looking flat, while the side opening and the crisscrossed bands across the open back give the costume a clear sense of separation from multiple angles. The long gloves also help finish the upper body presentation by giving the arm placement stronger contrast. The lower body gives the figure much of its visual richness. The rose ornament at the hip becomes a clear focal point, and the black ribbons extending from it help guide the eye down into the skirt opening and leg area. The dress changes shape nicely from a fitted waist into a wider drape near the floor, so the lower half never feels like one simple block of fabric. The exposed leg gives the pose length, while the folded leg tucked closer under the body gives it a more believable seated arrangement. The black heels complete that line cleanly and keep the lower silhouette sharp at the end. What makes the whole figure especially successful is the way the visual flow is controlled from top to bottom. The eye starts at the face, moves through the neckline and center ornament, and then continues into the rose at the hip and the long exposed leg. Even though the body is placed low in a seated pose, the figure never feels passive. The open torso, the deliberate hand placement, and the long lower body line all keep a strong sense of command in the presentation. Because of that, fans of Blue Archive or Aru will definitely enjoy this piece. With that focus on a confident face, an original outfit built around bold cutouts and clearly placed decoration, and a seated pose that balances ease with presence, collectors collectors who like compact figures with a very readable silhouette should find it a very satisfying addition. That's it for this video. If there's any part of the figure you liked, feel free to leave a comment and share your thoughts. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.